Welcome, good morning to all of you. Sana po maayos ang inyong kalagayan. Welcome to the program agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, and you are watching us via Cignal TV channels 8 and 250, as well as on facebook.com/onenewsph. Today is July 27, 2021. We are broadcasting live straight from Lipa City, Batangas, kung saan ako po ay nagkukubli sa Delta variant, and our services here are brought to you by PLDT, home fiber internet. Kaya yun po, may kapon may nagtanong sa akin, Sir, ang ganda ng signal mo dyan sa Lipa. PLDT fiber optic po ito. Okay, at hindi po tayo endorser, no? Hindi tayo paid advertisement. Sinusuportahan lang po natin yung mga sumusuporta sa atin at talaga namang nagbibigay ng magandang serbisyo. Now, I hope you are all rejoicing and saying a prayer of thanksgiving because finally the Philippines won its first Olympic gold medal courtesy of Heidelin Diaz. Okay, so pero bago ko po pangunahan, I won't get ahead of the program. Let's go to the front page of the Philippine Star and find out the headlines. And there you go, finally, Olympic gold. Ayan po, ang laking, maski na ako medyo nasasamid ako trying to read this because it is such an emotion. You know, it is a national sentiment and emotion that affects all Filipinos, especially if you got to watch Heidelin achieve that. Finally, the Philippines has snatched its first historic first Olympic gold medal after almost 100 years. Heidelin Diaz struck gold in the women's 55-kilogram weightlifting at Tokyo 2020 Olympics. For those of you who are not aware how much she lifted 127 kilograms. Yan po, yung sambuanggenya niya bumubuhat. Kayang-kaya pala akong buhatin yan at ipukol, okay? The 30-year-old weightlifter burst into tears. She also set an Olympic record with a total lift overall. Kumbaga, sama-sama na 224 kilograms ang kinarga niya para makuha yung ginto na yan. Meanwhile, President Duterte ordered economic managers to complete the administration's flagship projects before he steps down. In his final State of the Nation address, President Duterte directed various agencies such as the DPWH and DOTR to sustain their development and their momentum on infrastructure development. Duterte claimed new highways, roads, and skyways built under his administration ease the commuting experience of Filipinos. Ayun. Totoo naman po yun. Sa dami ng kalsadang naipatayo, mga tulay, medyo ang nangyayari mas umiiksi ang biyahe. Kaya lang, depende. Pagdating mo naman sa Metro Manila, sa EDSA, kumpol-kumpol, ayan, traffic pa rin. So, I think what should be the focus is mass transit, particularly trains. Okay, the president, likewise, warned of a possible lockdown if threats from COVID-19 Delta variant continues in the country. Though he stressed in his final SONA that the Philippines cannot afford more lockdowns due to its economic impacts, as of today, health authorities detected 119 Delta variant cases in the country. If you read the inside pages of the Philippine Star, you will find a story where the DOH reports nakaramihan po, most of the Delta variant infections are hitting people who are not vaccinated. Ang karamihan po ng tinatamaan ngayon ng Delta variant ay yung pong hindi pa nababakunahan. So kayo po ay magpabakuna. At yan pong issue na yan ang pag-uusapan natin today. Because as you remember, a few days ago, the president went on national TV and said, he castigated local government officials and said that, ayusin nyo naman ayusin naman ninyo yung inyong pagbabakuna para hindi naman nakatayo sa tubig baha ang mga tao. Huwag kayong pabaya, find a saner, mas makabuluhang pamamaraan ng pagbabakuna, saner and safer vaccination system. Anyway, before we go into that topic with the DILG Undersecretary Jonathan Malaya and our guest epidemiologist, si Dr. Consorcia Lim-Quizon. Let's go to the quotation of the day. Ito po, hindi po from the Bible, pero it is directly from Heidelin, or sabi iba, Heidelin, Bisaya, Heidelin Diaz, and she says, "Grabe si God. Akala ko imposible. Akala ko hindi kaya ng Pinoy, pero ibinigay sa atin ni God," referring to the gold medal. And remember, it was not very long ago when Heidelin Diaz had posted a Facebook message, I believe, where sinabi niya, embarrassing as it may be, is it proper for me to solicit support because I really need assistance for my quest for the Olympic gold. Ayun po, no? Yun nga yung isang issue na pag-uusapan natin dito sa darating na mga panahon. Yung bang mga papremyo natin sa mga nagwawaging mga sports or mga athletes, whether it's in basketball, volleyball, swimming, etc., professional and amateur, we only give the gold, we only give the prizes after the fact. But before the victories, many of our athletes struggle on their own, di ba? The story of Lydia de Vega, etc. May mga drama nga, nagiging telenovela pa, si Onyok Velasco, etc. Interestingly, it seems that the armed forces seem to produce more medalists than most. Wala naman po, hindi naman po ako nangaasar ng NSA, no? Pero it just occurred to me that the NSAs may pick up a few things from the armed forces because they seem to produce sports champions as well. Anyway, let's go to our guest today. President Duterte has reiterated his call for local government units not to make people wait in line under the rain just to get their COVID-19 vaccines. Pero may mga LG naman nagsasabi, paano naman po? Sa amin ipinasa yung trabaho, hindi naman namin dating trabaho. Let's go to Undersecretary Jonathan Malaya, our friend and regular guest here on Agenda Usec. Eto na naman ako, ginugulo na naman kita.
Good morning, sir. Good morning po sa lahat ng ating taga-subaybay. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, Usec Malaya, the reason I thought of inviting you in particular or someone from the DILG in regards to this matter is because you're directly overseeing, supervising, or regulating local governments. And when the president made that statement na ayusin nyo naman yung pagbabakuna ninyo, wag naman ganyang nababaha, etc. I understood the sentiment of the president, which was also the concern and sentiment of many people. But, in my age, as you get older, you'll tend to be a little more fair and balanced. And I realized, ano naman ang gagawin ng mga barangay captain? Hindi naman sila yung may kasalanan ng baha. Tapos pag hindi naman sila nagpabakuna ay mas masama sila. How do you balance this? You're the DILG. Parang, kasi sabi nga nung isang mythical barangay captain, wala namang binigay sa aming template eh. Wala namang binigay sa aming, we did not have the kit to do this. This is the job of the DOH and we're doing it.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Una-una for mentioning the word fairness, no? Because that's really what we need right now. This is not an easy task for our local government units. In fact, wala naman talagang, as you mentioned, any precedent for this vaccination program. Nagbabakuna tayo in the past, but we never have this kind of vaccination program wherein we're vaccinating 70 million Filipinos. This is the first time in the history of our country. Many of the things we're doing in this pandemic are firsts, no? When we gave out the social immunization program, that's the first time we did that in our history. Now we're doing a vaccination program, which we have not done in the past. So, Sir Cito, just to address the concern raised by the President, nakipag-ugnayan kami. We worked with the local government units, in particular in the National Capital Region, and we found out that there are 28 out of the 407 operational vaccination sites in NCR local government units are affected by flood. So this is not a common occurrence. It's not all of our vaccination centers. Only a small segment of our vaccination centers have been affected. Actually, limited lang siya sa 4 na local government units, Mandaluyong, the City of Manila, Navotas, and Valenzuela. Ibig pong sabihin, our vaccination program is really on a roll. In fact, last week, we vaccinated more than 2 million individuals nationwide, and a large bulk of that here is in Metro Manila. Ngayon, given the directive of the President, the LGUs are now identifying other sites wherein the vaccination can be held. At malalaki na yung mga lugar na na-identify nila. Mandaluyong has identified Shangri-La Mall and Mega Mall as alternative vaccination sites. Manila has identified the UST Gymnasium. Navotas has decided na mag-suspend na muna para ayusin. Kasi alam mo naman sa Navotas, Sir Cito, talagang bahain dyan. Medyo mababa. And then Valenzuela has decided to temporarily suspend all vaccination programs from July 25 to 26 para pahupain lang ang baha. But immediately afterwards, resume na kaagad sila. So we are already acting on the directive of the President para naman hindi ma-expose yung ating mga kababayan sa ibang health risk because we are saving them from COVID by vaccinating them, but pag sila ay nasa baha, no, we are also exposing them to other health risks.
May kurikong, may leptospirosis, merong fungus, etc. But Usec, pasensya na, no? I just kind of wonder because when I was listening to the 3-hour sauna of the President yesterday, he used the term he could just confiscate. If he wanted to, he could just confiscate businesses, take over facilities. Parang, I just wonder, all of the LGUs that you mentioned, they all have huge shopping malls, facilities in their jurisdiction. And I understand kasi may mga nagsabi naman sa akin in the past, Kuyang, we cannot just go over to the mall and say we will take over or can we rent this because there is a complicated process of funding. But we are in dire times, we are in desperate times that require desperate measure. One would imagine like may mga malls na 5 stories high with long corridors, if I'm not mistaken, more than 500 meters in length. One would imagine that, this would be, you don't need to put up mega vaccination centers. You just need to say, oh boss, pwede ba Mondays close kayo purely for vaccination lang muna yung building ninyo.
Yeah, and ganoon naman talaga, Sir Cito, that's the standard naman, no? I saw that in Robinsons, Manila. I saw that in many, many malls na ginagamit natin for vaccination, na the malls have provided government with the sites for vaccination. And yun naman talaga, nagkataon lang siguro sa panahon ng tag-ulan na hindi natin na-anticipate yung pagbaha. At yung mga tao, instead na umuwi na lang, they really want to be vaccinated. So nagtiis silang pumila sa ating mga sa labas ng ating mga vaccination sites. But the DILG will release this morning a memorandum to all of our local government officials to reassess their vaccination sites to ensure na ligtas yung ating mga kababayan. There is no exposure to rain or flood or other calamities. There's special accommodation for the A2 and the A3. And ang pakiusap namin, gawa tayo ng scheduling and appointment system. No? Kasi by now, alam na ng LGU kung ilan yung taong ma-accommodate nila per hour. Okay? And kung yan ang ma-accommodate nila, yun lang yung mga tao na kailangan pumila. Kung hindi naman sila nakaschedule, kung hindi naman sila makikater during that specific time, pwede na muna silang pauwiin and let's give them a schedule. Kasi nga panahon ng tag-ulan, we cannot continue to expose them to the inclement weather at this time.
How difficult is it to do it, barangay by barangay? Because, in Pasig, they've already fully vaccinated all the senior citizens. And I remember when we were doing it, the barangay was managing it. Kasi ang issue naman, like I'm here in Lipa, Batangas, and some of the barangays don't have the technology. Yung iba nga, walang listahan. Kasi siyempre, alam mo naman yan, transient, ang daming transient na mga tao. Is it possible for vaccinations to be simply done on barangay? Because I know in Europe, in Holland, in the Netherlands, and where my daughter is, and some countries like UK, I think, they're doing it on the basis of age. Kasi nakita ko katulad sa Manila, Usec, kahit na i-regulate mo, binabaha ng tao, hindi lang ng tubig, ng tao. Pagkatapos pag naubusan, lahat ng klaseng murang hindi ko pa nadinig sa talambuhay ko, nadidinig ko dun sa video. Hindi mo pwedeng barangay-barangay na lang?
Yeah, we tried that, Sir Cito, no? Nung una, karamihan sa mga local government units natin were conducting vaccination sa mga eskwelahan, so bara-barangay. No, but pag tinutal mo, hindi ganun kadami yung nababakunahan. Kasi since we are running out of time and we have a deadline to meet, which is December of this year, to achieve population protection or what is called as herd immunity, we need to scale up. And nakikita natin na kung mega vaccination sites, mga malls ang gagamitin natin, mga gymnasiums, mga amphitheaters, auditoriums, then we have benefits of scale. Pag may benefits of scale ka, mas madami kang nababakunahan. And your resources are better used and it's more cost-effective. Kasi pwede mong i-shuttle yung mga tao papunta doon, mahaba ang pila mo, mas madaming doktor, mas madaming mga facilities kang pwedeng magamit. And pag tinutal mo at the end of the day, doon natin mi-meet yung ating target. Which is why there was a time umabot tayo ng 450,000 vaccinations in a day. That's why last week nakapag lampas 2 million tayo, precisely because of this approach which is the large mega vaccination centers. Mas mabilis din ang galaw pag mega vaccination ang approach.
Okay, if you don't mind, Usec Malaya, we'll bring in our other guest for today. She is a member of the National Immunization and Technical Advisory Group for COVID-19 Vaccine Epidemiology, none other than another regular, Dr. Consorcia Lim-Quizon. Doctora, good morning to you.
Good morning, Cito, and maganda umaga din kay Usec.
Okay. Doktora, good morning, and could you just join us in this perspective? Kasi naawa na ako dun sa mga nasa gobyerno eh. Lahat ng klaseng mura inaabot, and then napapagalitan pa ni Presidente. Sabi ko nga parang mapakanan, mapakaliwa, may bukol ka eh. But having heard what Usec Malaya was talking about in terms of we seem to vaccinate more when we do it in a bigger venue, more less structure. Kasi I was suggesting barangay-barangay na lang for control, but it seems that control is not always productive. Mas malaki, mas mabuti. Ano ang inputs nyo dyan? Particularly, if we do mega vaccination sites, how sustainable is it relative to the supply of vaccines?
Well, hopefully, number one, no, tama ka. Hopefully, yung supply ng vaccine ang importante, no? If we are assured na tuloy-tuloy na yan, na gano'n ang pagbaha din at pag-ulan ng vaccine sa atin, then really, more labor, cost-effective, so to speak, yung mega vaccine centers. But if magti-trickle na naman yung ating mga bakuna, masasayang naman ang beauty ng ating mga health workers na nandun lahat sila nakapondo dun sa vaccine centers, and then no one's coming or people are coming but there are no vaccines. So doon sa sitwasyon natin ngayon na ang daming dumating, I agree with the USEC na sige, it's better na sa mega vaccines para nun maraming maa-accommodate, maraming maseserbisyohan doon sa oras na binigay. However, sabi nyo nga itong sane, it's not even sane, it's insane, it's madness, ganon. Alam mo, Cito, there's only so much na pwedeng gawin ng ating mga otoridad, no? I think much of it is nasa kamay ng individual o ng tao. Alam ko naman na nagpalagana pa mga LGU na magparehistro muna, doon sa takdang araw doon kayo pupunta. Subalit karamihan sa mga kababayan natin alam mo yung nagbabaka sakali, o kaya nandito na ako, o kaya baka maubusan ako nung pinakahihintay kong brand ng bakuna. So, eto, magbaka sakali tayo, kung nandun tayo, hindi na nila tayo iti-turn away. Kung kaya naman siguro talagang dagsa ang mga tao. Hindi ko na alam, Cito, kung magpapasalamat tayo na dinadagsa tayo, na tumatabo tayo sa takilya kesa doon sa lalangawin tayo sa takilya, so to speak.
Okay, Usec John, alam ko na busy individual ka today. You have to take off by 8:30. Pero matanong ko lang, no, just so that the LGU's sides is heard, what are the challenges? Sabi nga ni Dr. Conky, we are thankful that people are responding to the call for people to be vaccinated, but damned if you do and damned if you don't. Ngayong ang daming pumupunta naman, ang dami ring issue na pumuputok. As far as the DILG is concerned and the LGUs, ano po ba yung mga challenges para maintindihan ng mamamayan na hindi naman nagiging pabaya? As you pointed out, there are only 28 out of 407 vaccination sites in Metro Manila were flooded. Yung iba naman okay. Natapat lang na tinamaan tayo ng pito-pito. Hindi siyam-siyam 7 araw na ulan. Okay, Usec, please go ahead.
Yes, sir, Cito, tama si Doc, no? Damned if you do, damned if you don't naman talaga ang sitwasyon natin ngayon, especially with the political season coming up, no? But ano naman there's a job to be done. Kailangan lang natin gawin, so kailangan nating harapin at ginagawa po natin ang ating tungkulin. And we have been able to reach a large segment of our population already with 17 million doses administered as of yesterday. And meron tayong more than 30 million na supply ng bakuna. So really, on the part of the National Task Force, we have to ensure the stability of the supply. Alam naman po natin na hindi natin kontrolado ang supply, but nakikita naman natin araw-araw may dumarating. No? So these are already in place, the funds are in place. Now, on the level naman of the local government units, really the challenge naman to them is the administration of the national vaccine program. At napakahirap nito, Sir Cito, napakahirap talaga because execution is on the nahawak ng mga local government units. And there are so many challenges sa kanila. Dati ang problema natin was vaccine demand or vaccine confidence. Vaccine demand and vaccine confidence has increased tremendously. So ang dami nang gustong magpabakuna ngayon. Now, the other challenges that we are facing, of course, is human resources, the vaccinators, and all of the systems. Pero wag ko na siguro, Sir Cito, I wouldn't want to dwell on that anymore because karamihan sa mga problemang yan, nasolusyonan na natin. That is why in Metro Manila alone, we have 407 operational vaccination sites running every day. So itong mga, sa tingin ko lang itong mga panahon ng tag-ulan, these are really part and parcel of the challenges that LGUs face on a daily basis. Ang kailangan lang natin mag-adjust, mag-implement ng intervention because at the end of the day, there will never be any perfect execution of all of these plans. And we can assure the public that as directed by the President, our local government units are already implementing the necessary interventions para hindi na po ma-expose ang ating mga kababayan sa baha sa panahon nitong tag-ulan na ito. In fact, ang Department of Health went a step beyond. No? Naglabas sila ng advisory number 69 that waiting or lining up in flooded waters during vaccination is strictly prohibited. Mabigat yung ipinalabas ng National Vaccine Operations Center Advisory number 69, and this is also one of the things na i-implement ng DILG through our local government units.
So wala na nung tatayo-tayo sa baha, basta bumaha, tigil ang bakunahan, uwi muna kayo. Now, before you go, the USEC, John, syempre I also want to be fair for the LGUs in the provinces kasi ang mukhang nagiging problema naman sa provinces yung abiso or advisory. Many barangays are not well in touch or well appraised by the mayors, by the regional or local DOH regarding vaccination programs. Para bang ang nangyayari tuloy, yung mga mamamayan, they have to call their barangay captain who has to call the city hall or munisipyo. Meron po ba tayong bakunahan? Is it possible to get an improvement or get some improvement in the communication and announcements of vaccination? Kasi marami na pong nagpapasabi sa akin yan at hindi ko pa na ipapaabot sa iyo, Yusek John.
Yeah, baka Sir Cito sa ilang lugar lang yan, no? Because I have seen LGUs utilize so many communication platforms sa panahon ng pandemya. In fact, Facebook has been used so much ngayong panahon ng pandemya.
Pasensya ka na, Yusek, no? Marami sa mga nilalakaran ko sa bukid, puro mga no read, no write, no cellphone. Yun yung medyo dinadaing ng mga kaibigan natin. Sits, gawa mo naman ang paraan yan kasi marami tayong kababayan madidisgrasya dahil wala naman silang mga cellphone. Parang yung house-to-house campaign ba? Kung pwede raw.
That's correct. Yes, Sir Cito, we will look at that. Actually, part na yan nung ating demand generation activities ng National Task Force COVID-19 to have town hall meetings in the barangays to explain to them the need for vaccination. Kasama na rin yung scheduling ng bakuna. Yun na lang, yung mga probinsya talaga natin, we don't have the same supply. No? Kasi nga ang ating approach has always been to focus the vaccine supply sa mga centers of gravity and in areas where there is a spike of COVID-19 cases. So kung wala pa po masyadong bakuna sa inyong lugar, in a way, pasalamat din tayo dahil ibig sabihin, wala nang masyadong kaso sa inyong lugar. But of course, that should not be an excuse. Kung habang wala pa nga mga kaso doon, mas maganda magpabakuna na. But again, that's dependent on the stability of our supply of vaccines from abroad.
Okay, maraming salamat, Usec Jonathan Malaya. I will release you to your many commitments and obligations. Please stay safe, stay strong, and stay healthy.
Maraming salamat at mabuhay po kayo.
Okay. Doc Monkey, we'll just take a medyo segue lang ako. Siguro interesado ka rin mapanood dito kasi punta tayong Japan. Ngayon, punta tayong Japan ngayon. Makibalita muna tayo kay Paulo Del Rosario regarding the Heidelin gold achievement. Paulo, nakagat mo na
Kamusta naman?
nakagat mo na ba yung ginto? Ginto ba talaga?
Oh, ginto daw talaga eh. And Cito, actually, nakawakan ko yung medal. Napakabigat. Pero mabuti naman, weightlifter si Heidi kasi kayang-kaya niya buhatin. Oo. Grabe talaga, Sir Cito. Seeing the golden moment of Heidelin Diaz, napaka-surreal para sa amin dito sa media. Dito,
I'm sure lahat kayo luhaan.
Opo. At iba talaga yung feeling kapag nakita mo yung Philippine flag na pataas sa flag raiser. Tapos kapag narinig niya po yung lupang hinirang dyan sa venue mismo. It's not the first time, technically speaking, na natugtog yung lupang hinirang sa Olympics dahil may nanalo tayo sa mga test events dati. Pero ito yung pinakaunang gold medal natin in actual competitive event na nakasama talaga sa mga records in terms of yung competition. So, seeing it right now, sir, I'm sure nakita nyo rin, yung medal tally, nandun na tayo, 15th in the world na tayo sa Olympics dahil sa medal as of today. And who knows, marami pa tayong atleta dito, baka dagdagan pa.
Okay, meron ka pa bang report dyan? Mukhang naunahan kita
Okay lang, Sir Cito, kasi actually we're waiting for Heidelin Diaz to come down. May press con siya ngayon via Zoom with other media friends. But then, uupo siya with Gretchen Ho in just a bit. Mag-go one-on-one sila dito sa Athletes Village. Actually, ito po yung setup namin ngayon. As you can see, walang media dito kasi mag-go one-on-one si Gretchen at si Heidelin right over here. So it's gonna be an interesting conversation. Alam niyo po na may history nga si Gretchen Ho at si Heidelin Diaz. So it's going to be medyo may it felt fated po na sila magsama din at one point. If you've seen yung interview niya with Heidi right after her golden moment. And that's one to look out for. Pero at the moment, sir, the entire Philippine sports community is aglow. Kapag pumunta ka sa social media ng mga atleta natin na nandito, makikita nyo na kaya pala na-break na yung glass ceiling of winning a gold medal. So right now, the hope, sir, is more medals to come here. Particularly, there's a lot of hopes para sa boxers natin. And who knows, maybe another surprise will come up in the cards.
Matunog ba yung sa mga boxers?
Opo, I mean, the boxers at the moment, sir, medyo naka-media blackout sila eh. But then, based on yung community ng Philippine athletes natin dito, since they're all in just 4 or rather in 7 rooms dito sa Tokyo Olympic Village with around 4 rooms inside each unit, medyo close-knit sila eh. So, it's impossible for them not to have celebrated together. Pero as of how they actually celebrated, unfortunately, we're not privy to that at the moment.
Yeah, no, but yung prediction para sa mga mga boxers natin, what is the likelihood of another gold? Kasi parang yun yung iniintay nating second gold natin eh. Yung Nesty ba, ang bilis daw manapak eh.
Opo, si Nesty Petesio po, well, kung babasa natin sa mga report ng mga foreign journalists, actually yung Associated Press, sinabi nila si Nesty Petesio is favored for at least a bronze. Pero si Yumir Marshall naman, yung lightweight po natin, he's actually the only Filipino prior to the Olympics favored for a gold medal sa competition. He only needs 2 wins to make it into the medal rounds and hopefully end up with a gold. Ranked number 1 siya in the world, si Yumir Marshall. Nesty Petesio, prior to the shutdown of all the sports dahil sa pandemya, ranked number 2 siya in the world at yung natalo po niyan, ranked number 1. So at the moment, yung the best ranked opponent ni Nesty Petesio sa bracket niya, nasa kabala pa po. So if ever they do meet in this competition, the name escapes me, sorry, but if they do meet in the competition, most likely it would be in a gold medal match. So for Nesty Petesio, The expectations is there. I'm sure alam niya po. But then, I actually talked to her about it. Yung mga rankings, do they matter? Yung mga seedings, do they matter? And sabi niya po that it doesn't matter anymore because the rankings were made prior to the pandemic, most of them. And
Okay.
what matters is the time spent in between the rankings and today. So how they trained during the pandemic, how they prepared, and para sa kanila, sir, they have the tactics, they have the mentality, and they are confident. Iba talaga yung kumpiyansa ng boxing team po natin dito sa Tokyo.
Well, I think they can use what Heidelin Diaz had going for her. First, she had grit and determination. I rarely see that kind of grit and determination long term. She's had that even before Rio Olympics, during the Rio Olympics, after the Olympics, and now in Tokyo. Kanya naman siya na gold. And what she said, that God gave us the gold and we do hope God will give us another gold. So kung makita mo yung mga boxer natin, sabihin mo, grit and determination, suntok like there is no tomorrow. Okay,
Opo,
thank you,
inspired po.
Paulo.
Thank you po.
Okay, that's our news correspondent and pinapalad na mag-report straight from Tokyo, Paulo Del Rosario. We'll go for a quick break, and when we come back, let's speak with Dr. Consorcia Lim-Quizon tungkol dito sa mga bakunahan na ito because nakakaawa naman yung mga ating mga local government officials na bugbog kaliwat kanan. We'll be right back here on Agenda. Okay, you're ang bilis naman, no? I was still stretching. Okay, let's go back to our guest and a regular here on Agenda, Dr. Conki. Thank you for staying with us in this second half of the program. Medyo, you said something that I think is in the back of the minds of many Filipinos. Yung bang parang, whatever happened to common sense and healthcare? Kasi parang alam mo nang bumabaha, alam mo nang may leptospirosis, pwede kang magkasakit dyan, tumayo ka pa dyan para mabakunahan. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't want to be judgmental. I know some people are desperate, but what do you make of this? What is causing this?
Kultura ng kakulangan. You know, if there was just enough, at hindi tayo matataranta, makikipag-agawan, risk our life sa baha, dahil alam natin nandyan yan. Naka-reserve yan para sa akin. Yung ganun. Yung bang, yung nervyos mo na baka maubusan. Kaya talagang sinusugod mo yung baha, no? But it still doesn't make sense and it shouldn't be an excuse ito because ang alam ko karamihan sa mga LGU, if not all, talaga naman nagpapaano sila na register muna. Subalit bakit katakot-takot yung talaga nagbabaka sakali na pumila rain or shine? Yun ang hindi ko maintindihan. Tapos pag may nangyari sa'yo, kasalanan na naman ng gobyerno, yung ganon. So, that's why I repeat na hindi yan lahat kay presidente, kay governor, kay mayor, kay barangay captain. Really, 80% of it is tayo na as individual. Nagawa na ng mga boss kung ano yung dapat nilang gawin. Tayo naman ang dapat gumawa ng parte natin.
Okay, now, kultura ng kakulangan, so it's a mindset, everybody is out for him or herself. desperate times require desperate measures.
Yes.
Ganon na nangyayari. Now, ito bang Delta variant na ito? Kasi, it's possible that we have scared the living daylights out of a lot of people, so they're now desperate. And also because there is now a trend or a belief na being pushed forward na kung hindi ka bakunado, hindi ka dapat palabasin. Ginagawa na yan sa UK, ginagawa na yan sa France, and here, Joey Concepcion, the Presidential Advisor on Entrepreneurship, is also pushing for that. Do you agree with that?
To a certain extent. Kasi nga, bakit, sumunod ako eh. Sumunod ako doon sa panukala o kaya doon sa makakabuti sa akin na magpabakuna ako. Tapos ako pa rin na nakakulong. Tapos etong mga they go prancing about dyan sa labas na, ba't ako pinarurusahan mo? So to a certain extent, parang, sige, yun siguro yung carrot o yun ang regalo ko na sumunod ako, na protektahan ko sarili ko, hero ako para sa sarili ko, para sa komunidad ko. Ito ang aking mapapala out of doing that. Okay? So to a certain extent, I agree with them. And doon nga sa France, kay Macron, oh God, he has guts. Hindi ba? Na talagang, I'm gonna do this.
Ayaw mo, parang ayaw mo, wag mo. If you're not vaccinated, you don't get to go to a restaurant, you don't go to a park, anywhere. You have to show an RT-PCR.
Tanggalan kita ng karapatan mo. Ayaw mo makisama na karapatan din ng ibang tao na maprotektahan at ayaw mo gawin yon, o pues ikaw manahimik sa bahay.
Okay, now I've been listening to some experts daw, and they have been saying that, and I'm not talking about local, I'm talking about global or regional. Some seem to be giving out this impression that the Delta variant is highly contagious but not necessarily deadly. What exactly is the truth, or at least what we know for now? Kasi alam naman natin na there is no fixed truth as far as COVID-19 is concerned.
Thank you, at inuna mo yon, unahin ko yon. Now, whatever we say now, bukas sinungaling na ako, no? Because it's just so dynamic. But what we know as of now, number one, totoo na mahigit 50% more transmissible or more infectious, more contagious itong Delta variant. However, maging ang WHO sinasabing wala pa tayong ebidensya to say that it actually is more deadly or it causes more severe form of the COVID, of yung sakit. So yun yung sitwasyon ngayon. Kaso yun na nga iniiwasan natin eh. Pag masyadong marami ang nagkasakit, may 5% sa mga nagkakasakit ang very likely na maging severe, no? Yung 5% ng 1,000,000 pag nagsabay-sabay yan, talagang ma-overwhelm ang health system natin. Kung kaya't kahit na sinasabi natin, sige lang, hindi masyadong deadly, ayaw pa rin natin lumaganap. We want to cut the transmission. Ayaw natin ganun karami ang may sakit at any given time, kahit mild lang. Kasi may lilitaw na small percentage na magiging severe. Na kung milyones na nga ang pinag-uusapan, that is translated into overwhelming our health system.
Okay, you're an epidemiologist. You are with the DOH ba yun or something? Hindi, you're a consultant, right? You are consulting. Now, how do you deal with this situation? Kasi sinasabi nila na hindi deadly, not as deadly but more contagious. Now, I suppose you can sense my confusion, no? Kasi sinasabi, based on the data that is rolled out every day, the cases are on the rise again.
Mhm.
But they're also saying there are only 119 cases of Delta variant, confirmed
Mhm.
Delta variant. And
Mhm.
most of them because unvaccinated. So
Mhm.
if there was 6,665 cases yesterday and 119 of them are Delta variant, what is causing the rise of infections? Is it the weather? Is it because we don't really know the real population of Delta variants in the country? Can you explain this, Doktora?
Oh, ganito ha, ang talagang cause nitong sakit ay yung COVID-19, yung original na
Mm.
virus, no? Habang dumadami yan, it's just the nature of the beast na nagkakaroon ng variant, okay? So
Mm.
eto may lumilitaw na alpha, beta, gamma, delta, lahat yata ng sa alphabet na gano'n, maaring lumitaw, okay?
Mm.
So mercifully, itong lumilitaw na delta ay kokonti pa lang, yun nga, about 100, okay? It doesn't change the epidemiology or pathology nung sakit. Yun pa rin yan at the end of the day, it's still COVID-19, pero variant nga lang siya. Ngayon, ano yung kinatatakot natin kung mangingibabaw o sobrang dadami yung variant na Delta is, okay, maaring may lumusot, maaring may ipakita 'to na mas matinding symptoms, we don't know,
Mhm.
yung gano'n or maaring hindi na siya mag-respond do sa treatment, maari. Kung kaya't ang ano natin, 'wag sanang mangibabaw yung Delta variant doon sa mga yung do'n sa usual, strain or virus na nakikita natin ngayon. And so far naman sa Pilipinas ay name-maintain pa rin natin. That's the good news. The
Mm.
bad news is meron tayong nakuhang although mangilan-ngilan na community transfer. Ibig sabihin, medyo meron ng lumulusot-lusot sa community natin, okay?
Well,
So how do we
can sorry can
go
I
ahead,
time
go
out
ahead,
on that, no? Kasi
go
ito
ahead.
yung tanong, matagal ko nang gusto itanong to eh, okay? There is a community transmission of Delta variant. Out of nowhere, lumabas because based on the patients infected and interviewed, they had no contact with someone from outside the country. They had not traveled out the country. They were not infected or in contact with anyone sick. Now, is it possible? Because sabi ko nga just because the original came from India does not mean we cannot come up with our version 2 of the
Oo,
Delta variant.
oo,
Kumbaga, kasi
oo, oo,
sinasabi
oo,
ng virologist, kahit saan pwedeng pumutok yan eh.
oo,
Naturally
oo,
occurring.
oo. Well, technically speaking, totoo yung sinasabi mo. Actually, may homegrown na nga tayo na variant, 'di ba? Yung lumabas sa Cebu, yung tinatawag na Philippine variant, although at the moment, hindi of concern. Kumbaga, o sige, inaasahan natin yung variant na yan, pero hindi yan makakagulo ng husto. Sito, itong local transmission, while yung patient themselves may say, hindi, wala kaming
Contact.
exposure.
Hmm.
Ako personally, pero hindi ako ang nag-imbestiga. May doubt ako ng konti dun eh. Kasi hindi mo alam kung yung nakausap mo, meron palang kamag-anak na dumating na nag-positive or hindi alam na positive sila. Kaya sinasabi natin first, second, third generation. Hindi lang yung unang contact mo, yung contact ng contact mo. Yung gano'n. So, para sa akin, yung community transfer, it still could have started with an exposure with somebody from abroad but was not identified as such. Kaya nag-umpisa do isang seemingly, hindi wala yan exposure, pero meron.
Okay, while it is not impossible, it is also probable that it came from an actual case. Now, we'll go for a quick break, Doktora Kongki. And when we come back, pag-usapan nga natin because I know that there are many Filipinos, sports fanatics, who are wondering paano nangyayari yung mga infections? How are those athletes and sports officials in Tokyo ending up with COVID-19 in spite of the multiple tests? We'll go for a quick break. We'll be right back here on Agenda. Welcome back to the program Agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, and you are watching us via Cignal TV, channels 8 and 250. And for those of you who are still watching us via Facebook, magpakabit na po. Subscribe to Cignal TV para lagi niyong mapanood si Kuyang sa umaga, may replay sa hapon, and you can still watch all the coverages. Right now, we are also covering the Olympics here on Cignal TV. Let's go back to our guest, Dr. Consorcia Lim-Quizon. Doc Conki, I think one of the puzzles that a lot of people are trying to figure out is are those athletes and sports officials umabot sa Tokyo, pagdating sa Tokyo, sent back. Kasi ito lang, no? Ito ang pagkakaintindi ko. Sa country of origin, tetestingin ka. Pagkatapos, bago ka makaboard ng eroplano, you have to have a test 48 to 72 hours before the flight. And then when you arrive in Tokyo, you will be tested, swab, and then you will check in, and then after a few days, you will be tested prior to your competition. Pero may mga tinatamaan pa rin. How do you explain that?
Well, unang-una, may tinatawag na incubation period, no? Merong hanggang 2 linggo ka muna na nag-i-incubate yung virus sa'yo bago tumaas dun sa level na madidetect ng test. Halimbawa, tinest mo ko ngayon, medyo nag-uumpisa na yung nag-i-incubate ako ng virus, no? Pero hindi pa ganun karami yung virus sa akin, malamang na magne-negative ako. You know? So, nagkakataon, nagne-negative. Pagkatapos yung takdang araw na kung kailan nandun ka na sa Tokyo, saka nagkataon na yun talagang pag na-test ka, magpa-positive. So, that's one explanation. The other explanation, Cito, is that siguro naman naniniwala ka na 99% security is no security. Okay? In as much as we all want to say na nag-ingat tayo, yung 1% na nalusutan ka. Okay? So, yun, that could be an explanation also because we couldn't say na yung pakikisalamuha mo, katakot-takot na taong nakasalamuha mo, ay hindi nakapag-transmit kahit na paano yun.
Is it possible, Doc Conki, that there is still something we don't know about this? Because we're all presuming that the incubation period is 14 days.
Oo.
We're all presuming that a swab and a RT-PCR or blood test will reveal it. But kasi panood ako ng panood doon sa mga hindi yung games hindi yung
Oo.
sports coverage, kung hindi yung mga announcements on the COVID as per Tokyo is concerned. And parang it's beginning to puzzle a lot of people how on earth it happened na we
Oo.
did everything. Sabi mo nga, 99% nag-positive pa. Kasi you're an
Oo.
epidemiologist. You do
Oo.
the detective work.
Oo.
Is it possible na meron tayong hindi pa alam dito?
Of course, marami pa tayong hindi alam, ano? And then, the other thing as an epidemiologist is when you talk about numbers, you know? Pagka libo-libo na pinag-uusapan mo, anything can happen. Sabi ko nga sa'yo, yung 99% na yon, kapag ka 1,000 yung pinag-usapan mo, edi may 100 katao na may mangyayari. Hindi ba?
Okay.
So,
Aside from
that's the number side.
Yeah. Aside from the asymptomatic, kasi yun nga, isa pang puzzle yun, di ba? Bakit yung ibang tao, walang symptom, yung ibang tao napapatay nitong COVID na ito, or it kills them while others are asymptomatic. But is it possible, have you seen it in other diseases or viruses where certain individuals become a hidey hole, so to speak, taguan ng isang virus na kahit anong testing gawin mo, hindi mo makikita pero carrier pala?
Oh yeah, although although na prove. Halimbawa yung hepatitis B, walking around, yung ganon. O yung pala, bit-bit mo, kaya nga tayo at the end of the day, sinama na natin yung Hepa B sa immunization sa mga bata. Para noon, hindi yung, so Hepa B is one. The other one sa mga bacteria naman nung unang panahon may tinatawag na typhoid Mary. Yung nagkalat na typhoid kasi siya mismo wala nararamdaman. Yung pala nakakapagkalat siya. So, marami talaga na sakit na yung tao mismo may sakit. Wala siya sakit, pero carrier siya.
I'll take this opportunity just to advise our viewers. I am hepatitis B positive. I have the antibodies, and sa akin po, nakuha ko po during a surgery. Nagkaroon ng emergency during the surgery. They had to transfuse me with whatever. I don't know if it was a transfusion or the equipment or something. 6 weeks to the day, I was already manifesting all the signs. And yung doktor kong isa naman, yung GP ko, one look at me, si Dr. Alex Aiko, he took one look at me and said, you either have it, or you had it, or you're about to have it. I said, have what? Hepatitis B. Ito po, mag-ingat po kayo sa Hepa B because it's like AIDS. You can get it through blood transfusion or like that. You can get it through surgery, drugs, needles, or through sex. So, nako, yung mga malilikot dyan, pag bigla kayong nakakuha ng Hepa B at nalipat nyo sa misis nyo, yung iba po napapatay ng Hepa B. Anyway, but I digress. I just needed to, share that. Now, Doc Monkey, I read this morning while I was preparing for the program, and I'm not being an alarmist, ladies and gentlemen. This is a discussion point. Yung Sinovac daw, medyo ang claim, kasi alam nyo, ginugulpi talaga yung Sinovac ng mga ibang tao, nag-fade daw after 6 weeks and there should be a booster shot. Ngayon, what's your reaction to that statement?
Okay. I will not focus on Sinovac alone. Remember that all of our emergency utilization vaccines at the moment, hanggang phase 3 lang ang mga yan. So patuloy ang pag-aaral natin. So wala pang makakapagsabi talaga. Tinataya lang ng ating mga researcher and scientists na, sige, hopefully 1 taon ang proteksyon sa atin. So pinag-aaralan, tinataya na 1 taon ng proteksyon at wala pa nagsasabi exactly kung kailan mangangailangan ng booster dose. So wag po natin na i-single out ang Sinovac na 6 weeks lang. That's kasi Cito, kung totoo yan, tatandaan mo nung February, nung February tayo nag-umpisang magbakuna, inuna natin yung mga health workers natin.
Okay.
Kung 6 weeks lang yan, di patuloy na nagkakasakit yung mga health workers natin dito sa
No,
Pilipinas.
6 months. 6 months.
6 months. So 6 months to, well, praise God, wala pa naman tayo nababalitaan na gano'n kasi nga tinataya natin na 1 taon ang posibleng proteksyon natin. Then we get the
Okay.
booster. But let us wait for the international health authorities to tell us.
Okay, well, I'll have to end it at that, Doc Conky. We've run out of time, but thank you very much for joining us through the program and for your very important inputs, and God bless you, and please take care.
Likewise, Cito, maganda umaga sa inyong lahat.
Okay, that's Dr. Conky Lim-Quizon, and I'm Cito Beltran, thanking you for joining us. Sorry to go on overtime. God bless all of you.